Peace be with you. I welcome you with love. Truth. The biggest calamity in this age is the loss of truth. Falsehood is a disease that is affecting the whole world. Makes it harder to live in any authentic way. From a spiritual point of view, we can say that truth is the seal of God. Can't be falsified. We can talk about living in truth. Be'emes. We can say that God is close to those who live in truth. And that's the overview. And truth is valued in all the great traditions. Now we're going to get a little bit more personal in this discussion, because that's what matters. So, we mentioned at a national level and international level, the lack of truth brings chaos, which we see. At a social level, when people aren't living in truth, there is social chaos, and particularly when we degenerate to the level of which the statement is, I feel it, therefore it's true. And it's going to take us to another level of where we go. Therefore it's true, and I feel it, therefore it's true, and I have a right then to act against you, because I feel it. Those are some of the social things we're seeing in our society today, but the deeper thing is ourself. And what I mean by that is, are we being in truth with ourselves? The ego is the biggest thief in stealing truth from ourselves. And so it's a extremely important spiritual challenge to live in truth. To live with every thought, every action, every emotion being aligned with the bigger truth. And that bigger truth isn't our ego truth or our politicized truth, but the deeper truth of who we are in alignment with the divine flow. That is hard work. And as I have examined that, so I'm looking at that and think, well, how can we be helpful here? And there's one question that is very helpful to ask when we look at any thought, any emotion, any action. That question is, why? Why am I eating this food instead of that food? Why am I acting this way instead of that way? Why am I reacting this way instead of that way? Why is the saving grace for us on the human level? Just think about that for a moment. I'm in a relationship. If I don't act with integrity, the question would be, why is that? Why am I not speaking with integrity? If I'm involved politically, why am I not speaking with integrity? That's where the ego, when I say is the biggest thief, really is the biggest thief. And so the minute we ask why, we're challenging our egoic motivations. When we're in truth, deep truth, we are aligned with the divine flow. And the ego is removed from the picture of where the energy of our thoughts and our emotions and actions are coming from. When we're aligned with the divine flow, everything begins to move in a way that creates harmony rather than chaos. These are tough times. In case we haven't noticed. We can see it on the national political scene. We can see it on the international scene, but we can see it in how people are interacting with each other. Back in the late 1700s, a very famous rabbi, the Kutzker rabbi, Mendel Kutzker, said something very interesting. He said, in the times before the Messiah, the people will lose their connection with the truth. And I'm paraphrasing, but not exactly. He actually said, and those people in white are going to have to pray very hard to be able to stay in the truth. The spiritual people, that's what he's saying, in white are going to have to work very hard to stay in the truth. And I kind of laughed because maybe he's talking about these scenes, trying to stay in truth. But I think he symbolically was saying those who are dressed in white are meaning those who are trying to live a pure and holy life. But he nailed it. It is a struggle today. And this one does not want to pretend it's not a struggle. And looking at how is it that we can really begin to look at ourselves, because the truth starts with us. The biggest thief is our ego, who wants us not to be in truth. And it's on every action. It's how we eat. How do we choose? Why are we not choosing organic when we know that that is really by far the best and has the most nutrition for us? Well, it's cheaper to not. But is it really cheaper? No. When we look at truth, we know that illness is very expensive and it's cheaper to eat organic in the long run. Okay? And we can go on down the line. That is the why. So the why is, if we're not treating ourselves right, we're not exercising, and we're not eating healthy food and organic food, why? Why am I doing this action? This one is said in his books and in teaching is, do we love ourselves enough to heal ourselves? So the why would be, well, why don't I love myself enough to heal myself? Suddenly we're out of illusion. When we're mistreating ourselves, when we're acting in ways that hurt ourselves and our loved ones, why? What's going on? When we're in an intimate relationship and we're not able to be in truth, and that undermines the truth, undermines the relationship, undermines the sacred intimacy, why? What's going on? So I'm emphasizing the why because in trying to get this down to make it real simple and not really philosophical, when we ask that simple question, why? It can help us begin to realign with the truth. And although it's prophesied in the pre-Messianic time that there will be out of truth and there'll be chaos, okay, so what else is new? We can look around and see that's certainly the case, but it doesn't matter, because what's really important is each of us evolves spiritually. And so there's a place where we have to step back and say, why? Why do I want to say, well, this is what the prophecy says, then I don't have to try, I'm just part of it. No. The real question is, am I interested in evolving spiritually? Am I interested in challenging myself to live in the truth? Am I interested in looking at all my thoughts, and my emotions, and my actions to see if they're reflecting the deeper truth? These are hard questions in these times. This is not easy. the good news is, the more we love ourselves, the more we are in the process of healing ourselves, the easier it is to be in the truth. The easier it is to act in the truth, to speak in the truth. And, in a sense, to challenge ourselves with living in the truth. I read an article just before coming here. I scan a lot of different things. And it was about this lady who had done a lot of research on crime in the black community. Having lived in Central Harlem for 3 years and worked with gangs on the south side of Chicago, I was, okay, that sounds interesting. And her results on the why certainly aligned with many of the, let's say, political teachers, but it wasn't something that people want to hear. Okay? And so she's speaking on the campus, and the left is not just boycotting her, trying to shut her down and banging on the windows, and finally the police who escorted her to say, we have to get out of here, stops the talk. And what she was saying is the basic truth of anyone who's ever lived in Central Harlem or lived on the south side of Chicago. It was really nothing new. It's really something that thoughtful black leaders have been talking about for a long time, a really long time, since the 60s. But people don't want to hear it. Now, why is that important? Because we have a resistance to the truth. The truth is often uncomfortable. The truth often is a pain in the butt because we have to look at ourselves, because we have to reflect on ourselves, because we have to challenge ourselves. Now, it gets easier when our goal in life is to evolve spiritually. Then it's a way of life that we more inherently choose to do. We more inherently are comfortable with challenging ourselves to live in the truth, to be authentic. And in relationship, one of the most powerful things that can happen if we take sacred relationship as a spiritual evolutionary path, is to challenge each other to be as authentic as possible. And in that safe space of the sacred relations, that's what can happen. So, authenticity, living in the truth, is extremely important for any sort of evolution spiritually. So, in this moment, this one blesses you that you get more and more interested in living in the truth and feel more and more strong in asking the question, why? Before every thought, before every emotion, and before every action. And that way may you be blessed that you evolve spiritually in a way that deepens your connection with the truth of who you are. Blessings. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Atakilasam. Amen.